News Weekly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 151 in year 3, and this is gonna be a different but spicy episode because, one, this is a rare occurrence, ladies and gentlemen, a rare occurrence where Fanboy Clay is going to be the drama queen of this episode. I am often the person that is salty or that is upset about something going on with the Batman or DC universe, but no, Clay is the queen this week, because if you follow him on Discord or if you follow him on his Twitter, he has not been a happy camper this week. He has been going off, and I've kind of been calm through this whole situation, which is mind-boggling. So, Clay, let us know what's on your heart, man. What's going on?
Dude, so, of course, I will tell you this, because this is the start of our conversation in the news segment. It was, 2 days ago? So as of recording this, it was Tuesday that this happened. There was a New York Post that had said that Batgirl was getting shelved. And I'm like, horse shit. Like, it was so comical in the way that the New York Post created a GIF of like animated tomatoes being thrown at this picture that we have in the background for us right now.
Yeah.
This Batgirl picture. And I was like, there's no way. There's no fucking way. I looked at the article. I read the whole thing. There was no sources whatsoever. It wasn't even like, oh, sources say. It was just, hey, Batgirl's being shelved.
Yeah. It also had like incorrect information in it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it looked really weird. So I agree.
So then the Wrap picked it up, and I was like, there's no fucking way. And then other friends were saying, oh, well, the Wrap kind of like likes to like light a match under the Snyder cultists. So I could see this being another thing for like Keaton and how everybody hates him in the Snyder cult and everything else. So then other people started to pick it up. You made the comments about comic book resources picking it up, and then that is when we started to see Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, and everybody else start picking this up. It is shelved. We are hearing a lot of different reasons as of why. I am calling BS on a lot of things just because it doesn't make financial sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand if you can save millions off of anything, it is a good deal. But the movie was literally, the director said they were a week away from finishing the product.
Yeah.
They were 1 week away from finishing the entire post-production. $70 million, and people were saying 90 due to the future marketing of it.
And because of COVID, apparently put it over budget.
Yeah.
So
$70 to $90 million right down the drain. We are hearing that it is going to be a tax write-off, and if that is the case, this movie can't even leak online. Like, this isn't a case of like the Snyder Cut or Deadpool.
From what I've heard, they can't make profit off of it. So it can be released for free, but it can't be put on like a streaming service or a TV. So it can get leaked onto the internet.
It can, but like you couldn't even put it on YouTube, because YouTube usually, even if there isn't like ads that you yourself, because you do YouTube all the time, if you just put a video out there, YouTube themselves likes to throw ads either in the front or in the back, or sometimes just a random one in the middle, right?
That's all option based though. You can turn all of that off. Now, the only time that I know of forced ads is when you have copyrighted stuff in it. So more than likely this would get copywritten, but it would be copywritten by WB. But if they were the ones that released it, then I don't know. If this movie ever sees the light of day, it's going to be somebody that worked on it that has a copy of it. Like if an editor, the only way I see this ever seeing the light of day is whoever was editing this, when they were editing it, they heard the news and they were like, I got to copy all this footage like on my own and just do it. I don't know if that'll happen, but it would be very interesting to see if this were to leak someday.
I saw that there was a creator from the Apple TV show Dickinson she said that she begged Apple TV for like a year straight to get a physical copy of everything.
Yeah.
Because, and like she even said, the WB HBO Max thing that is going on right now is the one reason why I begged Apple for a copy of my work, because I worked on that thing for 10 years. So it's like her baby.
Yeah.
So she was able to do that. I don't know if these directors or anybody else connected to Batgirl would necessarily like beg for them to do that. And the worst part about like all of the articles and everything else, apparently WB was making statements of like, oh, we would love to work with the team again.
Yeah.
And in my mind, if you are a week away from finishing post-production on a movie that you've been working on for 4 years,
yeah,
and then they literally just yank the rug out from underneath you, would you want to work with them again?
If I did, the demand in money would be huge. So I'd be like, you're gonna double what you paid me on the last movie, and I would guarantee that there's gonna be a release.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think WB would do that. So they'd be like, I would just go with somebody else and go cheaper. Fuck it.
Yeah.
We were doing this out of like courtesy. That's what they would say. Because as long as they can say we offered them the job, that's all they need PR wise. That we offered them a job. Because there's all those people out there that love to back up big corporation. Like it blows my mind. Like there's a lot of people that'll just be like, well, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like right now too, like there's a big thing like that's not comic book related, but asshole extraordinaire Jake Paul just canceled another fight. And they're saying the reason why is because the guy didn't make weight, which makes a lot of sense. The guy signed a contract and he didn't make weight. So everybody's like, dude, you agreed to something, you didn't do it. Like that's on you. There's a lot of people there and people automatically ignore everything else that was going on. Cause that guy's been coming out saying like, dude, he tried to have me do this and I only had 30 days and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I guess I could see it from both sides, actually. It's like, oh, yeah, he's just making up excuses. But the way the contract was set up seems like it was everything against his opponent, which was pretty crazy. But at the same time, a lot of people are like, he signed a contract. That's all it comes down to. So, like, people will hyper focus on one thing instead of seeing the whole picture. And they'll be like, you agreed to it. That's all that matters. And so if, WB can be like, we offered them the movie and they didn't want it, then that's it. Boom. Although I think Leslie Grace will hopefully get another shot at being Batgirl. Whether they put her in another movie or not, I don't know. But I would hope so. But, there's a lot to go on. So we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like there's this Deadline article. One of the quotes says, sources don't expect other films to get killed like this because the accounting opportunity expires by the middle of the month. But as well, Warner Brothers Discovery braces for Thursday's quarterly earnings call, which is happening in like the next 5 hours for us currently while recording this. It is reporting that layoffs are sure to come. No one with a project made specifically for HBO Max or execs they can't feel confident as of right now. And they've already canceled like I believe there is 5 or 6 HBO Max original movies that they've immediately taken off of HBO Max without warning.
mm-hmm.
One of those being the very first American released Soto films. Soto is the current director that is directing Blue Beetle. And I swear to God, Blue Beetle gets canceled. That's my villain origin story. Like I am so pissed at all of this.
Yeah.
They've already said there's already rumblings of the future Supergirl movie already being canned with Sasha Kaye. So like the one thing that is very clear, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, why'd you pull that card? But like all of the projects that are being canceled are either racially, like all people of color, and then a lot of the TV shows show LGBTQ plus representation. So like it's not looking great on Zaslav's side on what he is deciding to cut from HBO Max. And, there's more news of HBO Max being completely absorbed into Discovery Plus. So there's no more HBO Max. We talked about the whole thing with scripted TV being very limited from now on, as far as projects moving forward, and it just doesn't look great. Like I don't get these decisions whatsoever.
Yeah. So as somebody who has often had these discussions before, the race car did get pulled pretty fast here. I'm on the fence on this one. And I said this last night. I'm not going to jump on the race train when it comes to this particular thing. I think a lot of people, the reason why people are pulling the race card is because Zaslav it's come out that he is a Trump supporter. So, anything that is tied with Trump, automatically people are like, oh, they're racist or whatever. I'm not a big fan of that. Granted, I think Donald Trump is a racist. There are people out there that think he's not. I think he has done enough to show that he is a racist. And that is what I'll go off of. But I don't think that everybody that has supported him is a racist. I think people have supported him for different things. I don't agree with them. I still think you voted for him, so you're supporting his ideals. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're a racist, because some people pick one thing. They're like, well, I make a lot of money, so he's better for my bottom line. I can understand that. You know what I mean? But you're still supporting somebody that supports this. You know what I mean? I understand that. But if we really wanted to play that card, we all do that in one way or another. We all support somebody shitty. Like one of our favorite artists or something like that probably did something heinous, but we're like, man, their music's still pretty fucking good. Or we play fucking anybody that plays a Blizzard game, you're supporting a company that fucking hates women and treats women like shit and causes them to kill themselves. Did
you hear recently that they did their own investigation?
Yeah,
and they're
fucking terrible.
They're like, there was none of that here.
Yeah. So if you really wanted to play that card, you can find that for anybody. Although I think that's not an excuse for you people out there that do shitty shit and be like, well, you could do that for anybody. That's not an excuse. You're just openly admitting that you're doing some shitty shit. But I'm just saying, I don't want to pull that card with Zaslav just yet, because the reason why I'm not doing that, if it comes out that all of these people of colors, characters get recast, then I'll jump on the train. If Leslie Grace gets recast, if Black Canary gets recast, if they don't even do Blue Beetle and they recast Blue Beetle later on, and they're all replaced by white people, then I'll jump on the train. Because then that just looks super suspicious. And I'm like, you had these actors already in place. Why didn't you just bring them into the new fold? Because I'm looking at it from this perspective. Zaslav has said, we're going for the MCU route. We're going to do that. That's all we're going to do. Fuck everything else. So we've talked about rebooting the universe before. I've been like, let's reboot it. Let's fucking start from scratch. If the first thing you need to do is get rid of anything Snyder related, you need to get that shit out of there, because his cultists are going to be there forever and they're not going to go anywhere. Now, that's kind of hard when you already have 3 movies in the works that have, his characters, like people that he cast. That's going to be really hard to do. So you can't do that because you've already wasted millions of dollars on The Flash and Aquaman. So you got to make do somewhere. So it's like, all right, going forward, everything needs to be blockbuster. Okay, that's fine. The previous people were like, we're going to make movies for HBO Max and they're going to be very low budget. Zaslav comes in. He's like, no, everything's going to be in theaters because we're trying to make billion-dollar movies every single time like the MCU. That's what they're trying to do. Granted, I don't agree with that. I think we have talked about this.
I was about to say, because one thing that I think is you can't start with an end game.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same conversation that we've had with comics. Justice League gets boring a lot of the time because it's always like, the world is ending. We saved it. The world is ending again. We saved it again. The world is ending. It gets tiresome. Yeah. You can't have the characters that you have in the Justice League or in DC proper and think that every movie is going to be a world-ending event.
Yeah, I agree. Which is what the MCU is right now. Every big movie is a big team-up movie, and it's boring as fuck. We had Spider-Man, we have Multiverse, we've had all of these big team-up movies recently, and I'm just like, I don't care. I want a single character and a single problem. That's what I want to see. But
which
Marvel,
you are getting in Disney Plus, but you're not watching any of those.
I'm not, but I mean, that's a whole different thing we want to get on. We're talking about superhero fatigue. I think Disney Plus is what started the death of superhero content because it's too much. There's too much.
I have said that the quantity is fine, but the quantity in such a small amount of time is the problem. I think they need to slow down.
Well, I would argue the quantity is a problem because look at their animation side. Those people are over there like, I want to kill myself because they're working so much.
Yeah.
So I would say the quantity is a problem. We don't need 3. Dude, if we went back to 2 superhero movies a year, that'd be fire. Every 6 months, I get a good superhero movie. 2 movies from Marvel, 2 movies from DC. That's all I need. I don't need fucking 5 or whatever the hell they're trying to do a year.
Wasn't it like just around 4 years ago we were getting the idea of 2 DC and 2 Marvel?
Yeah.
And then it like for some reason jumped to 4 from both?
DC was like, we're going to drop 3 to 4 movies theatrically a year and then like 3 on HBOmax. Like that was the original plan, which is fucking insane. And the 3 were going to be Black Canary, fucking Batgirl, yada, yada. But anyways, going back to the main thing. If Zaslav is trying to do the MCU and he's trying to start this new universe and they're bringing in this guy, Alan Horn or whoever, who worked on the MCU and he looks over everything and he's like, these movies that you're making right now don't fit into the vision. What are you going to do? And Zazal's like, you're sure? Like, it's not going to fit into the vision. They're like, no, they don't make sense. Like, you have this fucking Batgirl over here with 5 Batmen, and then you have this Flash over here with 4 Batmen, and then Aquaman's got one of the Batmen from both of these movies. Like, what are you doing? And he's just like, oh, well, what do we do? He's like, if I was this, I'd fucking cut this movie. I'd do this and that. If Alan Horn did that, that's not a problem. Zaslav is just like, fuck it, I'm doing what Alan Horn says. You know what I mean? Granted, I know it looks bad. Optics-wise, it looks bad that he's cutting all these things. But the reason why it looks bad is, would we be playing the race card if all these characters were white and they got cut? We wouldn't, right? Because
no,
WB had made a big effort to bring diversity in. And so they were like, all right. Unfortunately, they didn't start off the universe very diverse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so all the big
but neither did Marvel.
Marvel took 10 years, and I'm still bitching about that. We're barely getting our first fucking Latino superhero in Namor. Like, they try to pass off Selma Hayek. Go fuck yourself. She's our legend, all right? And, like, she's probably not even in that movie that long. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't give a shit. Because I don't see her in the trailers ever. Yeah, exactly. They don't give a fuck. But my thing is DC had a little bit more diversity in their main characters, but not a lot. And the problem is they fucked up for so long. Like, they can't even get their core heroes right. Marvel had that from the start. They're like, our core heroes are good. They're getting trilogies. They're doing whatever. DC never had that. And then now WB's like, we're going to go diverse. We're going to do all this stuff. Then there was a merger. And Zaslav's like, fuck all this. Every new thing got a diverse cast, but they're like, none of this fits into our universe. We got to cut all this shit. Like, we're going to cut all of it. So it looks super bad, But if we're going to play fair and we're going to say that, Wonder Twins had 2 white actors, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't even think the Wonder Twins actors wanted to be in that movie.
But to play fair, it got cut, Yeah. And so, like, that was going to be a HBO Max movie. And Zaslav was like, no, we're not going to do that. And we praised that. We praised that. So just to stay consistent.
And I do want to say, because I've said this off air, I've said this in private chats, but I haven't said this publicly, like live on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Zaslav can have the dopest fucking plan. I can't see that right now. All I'm seeing is the reactionary that I have right now, which is, what the fuck are you doing, man? And, in 4 years, I could be like, holy shit, he saved the DCEU.
Yeah.
But as of right now, that's not the way it looks.
No, optics-wise, it looks pretty bad, especially with the news coming out that his whole board at Discovery got filled with nothing but old white dudes. Like, that looks bad. And it's, optics-wise, it doesn't look great. But from a logical standpoint, if I was redoing a universe and I needed to get as fast as possible back on track, I would delete shit. Like, it's what you need to do. Like, we have heard from the directors of Batgirl that this was going to be a spaghetti type multiverse movie. And there was going to be some Snyder people in it. There was going to be some new people in it. There was going to be possibly a random third Batman type character. And it was just like, what? And so that was interesting, but we didn't really know what they meant by that. And, you know, we were talking about this last night in Discord. We've heard some people say it was good. We've heard some people say that it was awful. What the quote was, a bad version of TV.
Yeah, a bad TV show.
Episode. Yeah. And so we've heard mixed things about this. And so if it is bad, like if, again, just imagine you're coming in to DC. They're like, all right, fix it for us. But these movies are coming out. You can make them come out or you can make them not come out. I think it was Drew said, like, I would release Batgirl, but at the start of it put, this is not part of the DC universe. That makes sense. I could see that happening, but I don't think the general audience is smart enough to, I don't want to say read, but like understand that. They will think Batgirl is a part of the universe if you have Ben Affleck in it, if you have Michael Keaton in it, and then they show up on the big screen. They're like, no, it's got to be a part of it. Like, well, a little buffer.
The only problem that I see with this is the fact that what if people love it? Yeah, that's the problem. Is if you release it and people are like, holy shit, this was like, release it secretly.
Yeah.
You know, so that way it's not gaining profit and everything else. Then Zaslav looks like a fucking idiot, you know? And I saw somebody, and I don't know if I shared it in Discord, there was like two optics, because you can cut your losses with Batgirl and you're like, okay, we heard bad things. I just saved everybody from a bad experience and saved us from losing a ton of money.
Yeah.
There's one optic. And then there's the other optic of like, well, if it was good, I apologize, but we're going to make things new and better. And maybe, quote unquote, Leslie has a chance in the new DCEU.
Yeah.
Like, there's two sides of this that can both make WB look good. But as of, like I said, right now, I'm not the only one that's reactionary, because this blew up.
Yeah.
Not only on Twitter, but on TikTok. I was seeing some stuff on Instagram as well. Like, this does not look great, like we've said before. But I am just, you know, Juice was like, man, this guy, Clay was singing Zaslav's praises and was hoping for the best with this guy. And it flipped on a dime this week. Yeah. It honestly did.
Yeah. And like, I get it, man. Optics wise, I understand it, but I don't know, man. I'm no longer on TikTok, by the way. Like, I don't have the app on my phone. I deleted it. I deleted it just because, like, it's so toxic when you really look at it. Like, the app is so toxic. And I finally understand why I can be on Twitter over video. Is they're both very toxic cesspools of social apps, but it's so much easier to write a stupid tweet than it is to make a stupid video. Like, argument wise, it takes so much more effort to record yourself at talking about stupid shit or saying stupid shit. Whereas somebody's got Twitter fingers and they just send out a stupid tweet. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh yeah, I absolutely hate people on video more than I hate them reading their words. So I was just like, I can't be on this app anymore. It's not good for my mental health, because people are dumb. Like, a lot of people are dumb when it comes to their opinions on shit. So I deleted that app. But I still have an account and I will post content to it, but I'm going to do it through the browser where I don't have to be on the website. So yeah, I can understand why it's reactionary, because again, the optics look terrible, and it's the first time. It doesn't help that somebody like Sony is dropping bad movies like Morbius, and then people are like, oh, Sony could do it, blah, blah. But again, it comes down to, we're not trying to be Sony. We're trying to be the MCU.
And another reason why I called it bullshit is, what's the one thing that we always say, even though we hate it, and we are a Batman podcast, I have been made fun of because of how much crap I talk about Batman. And they're like, wait, who has the Batman themed podcast? I was like, I know. But we always say Batman sells.
Yeah.
And you were going to have two Batman in Batgirl.
Yeah.
Possibly, from what we were hearing. Why? Like, I still think this could have made easily 300 plus. million.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. But again, I don't know how many bad MCU movies were there in the lead up to Endgame. Just
To
the Thor
Endgame?
movies, maybe?
I would say
I feel like the first Thor movie was regarded as good.
yes. So I have a letterbox. It's a movie ranking
Mhm.
thing. So I know a lot of people in regards to the first wave of well, the whole thing with Endgame. I know that a majority of people have Iron Man 2 down really low. They have uh, Thor: The Dark World very low. I know that the Incredible Hulk is very low as well, and it's sometimes a mix between like the first Doctor Strange and I believe Captain Marvel. So you could say anywhere from 3 to 5 movies out of 23 films.
Iron Man 2 is high on my list just because of Scarlett Johansson. Like when she showed up in that movie, I was like, damn. When she kicks all those guys' asses in the hallway, like I just wish I was the guy that gets Hurricane Rana. Like I'm just like I want to be that guy. But yeah, so like again, man, I think optics wise, Zaslav is in a bad spot, but if he turns this ship around and we just get banger after banger after banger, like people are gonna be like, Zaslav is the best because that's how fickle fucking comic fans are. You know what I mean? I will tell you right now, if Blue Beetle gets canceled, I'm not paying for a DC movie for a while.
Yeah, no,
I'll bootleg that shit. Like
I've said the same thing, and you said like it's one thing for these people these movies to be canceled, but if they are recast, that's an entirely new thing.
yeah.
Supergirl has seemingly been canned, and I will say this is a very odd occurrence for me and my family. I was going to take my grandmother to go see Supergirl, and the
Damn.
reason why is Sasha
You can
Kaye
take her to see
was
Flash.
yeah, that's true. Sasha Kaye came from a soap opera called Young and the Restless, and my grandmother loves those like afternoon soap operas.
Yeah.
And I remember Sasha Kaye being a bigger character that my grandmother was like, "Oh, you know, this is a character that I really like. Her story is really good, blah blah blah." And I was gonna surprise her with the movie. I haven't
Yeah.
even told her that she's a part of the Flash yet, because
Mhm.
I wanted to see if there was gonna be any projects moving forward with just her.
Yeah.
And it does disappoint me a little bit.
Yeah. I will say that Sasha Kaye losing her movie doesn't really mean much because again, it was going to be an HBO. They were saying series maybe. But I will say that her job seems pretty safe because she's guaranteed to be in the Flash movie. They said they will not cancel that because of how much money has been dumped into it.
Yeah, it looks like because of COVID and everything else, it is looking to be nearing 300 million
Yeah.
for the production and marketing of this movie.
Yeah. So she's pretty safe. So and I want to say before Blue Beetle even started production, they said it was going to be a theatrical release. So hopefully that is safe and the budget was bumped up for that movie because of that decision. I'd
Yes,
have to go back and check, but I think it got announced before filming even started.
and I was talking to friends about how Blue Beetle could fit in the DCEU, and I said I wanted it to be its own thing with little nuggets to connect it with the greater DCEU.
Yeah.
Something like a Shazam. Shazam was its own thing, but then you saw like the newspaper report about the attack on Metropolis. Then you
Yeah.
saw the Batarang, and you saw these little things that connected it to the greater DCEU. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I want Blue Beetle to be. So that way, if this whole reboot comes around, we know that Blue Beetle is basically safe because it's not like determined on how well Flash does
Yeah.
or who's Batman or who's going to be Superman or anything like that.
Yeah. I honestly like my gut feeling right now tells me Blue Beetle's going to be fine. Because I can see the reason why I see why Batgirl just got the fucking bad end of the stick is because one, it had a multiverse of different characters in it that were Batman related. We just got the news that audiences thought the Keaton stuff in Aquaman was confusing, so they're replacing him with Ben Affleck, so that's why he's reshooting shit. So if you were going to have Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton in Batgirls, they're probably confused as fuck. And maybe that's why it got some of the bad ratings or whatever, you know, from viewers, and they're saying it's done poorly. Maybe that's why they think they're just going to axe it, because they're like, dude, we can't save that movie the way we saved Aquaman. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
like...
And I think that is like it is a big thing, because I think we said it last time, in the sense of I know you kind of insult the GA a little bit in the sense of like, oh, I don't think they'll be able to read and look into it that well. But I do think that however you want to think about the MCU has trained the general audience to say, hey, these stories connect. Because it's superheroes, these stories will connect. And so when people have seen the Justice League and they have seen the Suicide Squad and all of these other movies that have come before the Flash, and then they see Batgirl and Keaton shows up, or like they're going to be watching Flash and Keaton shows up, it better be a really good explanation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people are really going to be confused, you know?
Yeah. And maybe that's not what happens, because we don't know, because the Flash has been pushed back so much, it's going to confuse everything, you know?
Yeah, and speaking of pushbacks, I know this isn't Batman related, but it looks like Aquaman has been shifted all the way from January of 2023 to December of 2023. So 11 months, and it looks like they're already thinking about moving Shazam, which is coming out this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, they need something for next year. I mean, if you're not gonna, if you're not gonna go ahead and do that, right? Like, if you're pushing Aquaman back, you have nothing for next year if you're pushing it all the way to December.
Yeah, if you're moving Aquaman, then you have to move the Flash, because Aquaman takes place before it.
So Flash is now not going to come out until 2024?
Possibly.
That's fucking insane. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's fucking wild to me. Yeah, I mean, if anything, if these movies aren't going to matter, they should have just released Batgirl just for that. They're like, let's fill in some spots.
For real.
But I don't know, man. Maybe they're gonna... Well, Joker already got announced for 2024, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so it'll probably film in 2023. And yeah, it'll come out in 2020, because it comes out in October of 2024, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was one of our talking points. Joker 2 has, and a lot of people are like, oh, they're putting this out so that way people can stop worrying about Batgirl and kind of forget about Batgirl, kind of throw that under the rug. We don't need to worry about it anymore because Joker is here. Yeah. Joker 2 has made a release date of October, I believe 12th of 2024. And it is said that majority of the setting of Joker 2 is actually going to be in Arkham Asylum, which means that the plot leak that we had talked about with a grain of salt, we said back then, is most likely not true, because it said that a majority of the film would be like breaking out of Arkham and, causing chaos throughout the city. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. Well, and that was also saying that she wasn't Harley Quinn, right? Which we haven't got confirmation of that. So yeah, that would tell you right there, ladies and gentlemen, don't always believe the leaks. And that's what we were talking about too. We were saying that, some of the first leaks of Joker that came out were him fucking, his white paint was going to be cocaine and blood for his lips and stuff like that. So yeah, you got to not believe anything that probably came from DCEU Reddit or whatever that one subreddit is.
DCEU leaks.
Yeah, everybody believes those, and they're always wrong. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have much else to say on the Batgirl stuff and everything else that's going on. Again, this affected you way more than it affected me.
Yeah, I was like I said, it just was kind of triggering that, like, for one, I had said I could give two shits about Keaton. He's not my favorite Batman like everybody else's. But I really wanted to see Batgirl because we could see like part of the Bat family actually like make an appearance on the big screen if this was going to be moving to theatrical. Yeah. And this was another one of Brendan Fraser's like resurgence into Hollywood.
Yeah.
And him being the villain. So I really wanted to see that as well.
I just wanted to see it aesthetically. It looked cool. Like the photos people were taking and the photos that they had been released already looked really good. Like she looked badass. Like, and I wanted to see a Batgirl that got her ass beat. Like, and then she got up, you know what I mean? Because there was like blood and stuff in a lot of her stuff. Her cowl was messed up. Like, it looked really cool.
And there's a lot of people who went to go see the screeners that are just like, well, I guess I can talk about it now. And like basically told the entire story of Batgirl already.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say some of it, I don't know if I would have liked. Like they were saying that it's a new take on what's his face? Or Brendan Fraser actually said it's a new take on Firefly. And that he was like a veteran and he didn't get his insurance or some bullshit.
Yeah, like apparently his in the story his wife is like bedridden.
Yeah.
And so he loses his job, thus losing his insurance, and so he's needing to take care of his wife. So he goes back to the life of crime.
Yeah.
So apparently he was a criminal. Then he went into the military, and then he loses all of that, and he can't take care of his family.
Yeah.
But we had also heard that Keaton only had 5 scenes in the entire movie.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of this Batgirl costume was that Barbara actually goes to a Halloween party as Batman and then changes the outfit a little bit. And she actually takes out like terrorists.
Yeah.
Or something on Halloween.
Yeah. And then that helps her modify she modifies it to be the Batgirl suit, the costume she was wearing. So yeah, I don't know if I would have liked that. But granted, depending on where you read Batgirl's origin, that's kind of how it happens. If you were to read Snyder's, she makes a kind of suit out of police outfits when she's trying to protect people. So like, it's not too far from it, but it's also, I would have to see it because like hearing it sounds kind of cheesy, but it could have looked badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. If it ever sees the light of day, I doubt it. But it was funny because I think it was Mitch said on Twitter, he was like, man, if this was the 90s, he was like, the Batgirl movie would be the hottest bootleg at San Diego Comic-Con. And I was like, damn. He was like, because that's how it used to be back in the day. And I'm like, damn, that'd be kind of cool to fucking be able to buy bootleg movies at a con. Like, yeah, this never saw the light of day. Like, oh shit. Because that was before YouTube.
Yeah.
You know? So like you would have to buy shit. Like that sounds like a cool fucking, I wish there was like an underground of like unfinished Hollywood movies that you could buy. Like that'd be dope.
I will not lie. 3 houses down. From where I'm currently living, because I'm currently living in the place that I grew up in. 3 houses down, this dude would grab bootlegged DVDs.
Nice.
And he would sell it to the entire town. He'd be like, hey, I got this in this week.
It was a hot business, man. It was a hot business back in the day, for sure. But anyways, with that, hold on. This is 5 hours ago from Discussing Films. Warner Brothers Discovery will save approximately 15 to 20 million from canceling Batgirl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, savings is savings, right? Because like you're thinking about, that's how much you would save if you cancel it now. So it costs 90 million. That's because here's the thing, like people are saying 90 million with marketing, but they never released the marketing. Like a lot of people have said that the Snyder Cut cost like $400 million, and that's not including marketing, which is pretty crazy. So it could be anywhere near 500 million, like on that movie alone, which is fucking wild. Because a lot of things are not like the marketing budget usually is separate from the production budget. And so you think about it, let's just say 90 was production budget. Then you got to spend another 10 to 20 million on marketing. It's $110 million. It would have to make at least like 150 mil to be profitable in theaters. And that's, there's no guarantee that this movie made it to China. If you don't get China, that's a big chunk of the market that's gone. You know what I mean? So like maybe they just looked at it and they were like, it's not gonna, this isn't a banger, so it's gonna be risky. Because the moment the first because a lot of people sadly rely on Rotten Tomatoes to see if a movie is good or not. And if this thing comes out and it's like hitting 50%, they're going to be like, oh, it's like a Snyder movie. We're not going to go see it, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So maybe they didn't want to risk it. Because the rumors of the Flash movie are in the like mid to high 70s range, which people are like, that's good. That's good for a superhero movie. So, yeah, I don't know. There could be so many factors here with this, but I think we should move on. We have a new system. If you guys are not in our Discord that we're going off of nowadays, Clay has started listing our talking points for the week.
So the second bullet that I wanted to put up is kind of the reason why, like you were saying on Twitter, as well as some news that, thank God, that came out today.
Mm-hmm.
The death of the DCCW. We heard that Flash is being canceled. Well, not canceled. It is finished with this 9th season being cut in half, with its episodes being 13 episodes instead of 24. But also, Gotham Knights is said to be canceled or shelved today. Sometime today, it seems like it's going to be canned and may not even see the light of day.
That's good. That's fine. There's not going to be anybody wanting the Gotham Knights show to come out. That's like, oh man, we need a bootleg of Gotham Knights.
No, but like you were saying, like the Flash was what got your YouTube page bumping back in the day.
Yeah.
So like,
and I'm about to cancel that. I'm not going to cancel it. I'm going to abandon that YouTube channel in the future. So it's just kind of poetic that the show, because a lot of people think it's Gotham that blew up my channel. It's just I had more Gotham content. But what really blew up my channel was The Flash, because I had this very high energy content and I was talking about The Flash, and I think at the time I was somebody that was providing comic knowledge with comic book shows, and there wasn't a lot of that. Yeah. There was a lot, and I had really good editing for those things too that I think people don't really talk about, but I was including screenshots and all this shit. Like, I would watch the show online and take screen grabs from it and be like, look at this. And I would circle shit. And so, yeah, The Flash was definitely one of what blew up my channel. And to see it be the last show out of all of them doesn't surprise me, because it had a huge fan base.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it lasted that long, though.
I saw the Grant Gustin meme of the grave. Mm-hmm. It's him doing it to himself now, is a lot of the memes that I've seen now. It's wild, man. At one point, people were saying this is how you should make your DC films, with how intricate the DCCW was at one point. And for it to go as long as it did, and then unfortunately go down in quality like it did, is a little heartbreaking. And I was really hoping for a resurgence of DC shows on HBO Max, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So,
yeah, I mean, and to clarify, because this did need to be clarified, because a lot of people are getting confused. HBO Max and HBO are different. They are not the same thing. And everybody's getting that really confused, because there is a team that is working on HBO shows that is not part. Because like when they were talking about exclusive to HBO Max, Peacemaker wasn't airing on HBO. You had to buy HBO Max to watch it. But now Peacemaker can jump to HBO and be one of their shows. Game of Thrones was, I don't think, ever going to be an HBO Max exclusive. That was going to air on HBO because that's where it started. So that can keep going.
I thought House of Dragons was an HBO Max original, though.
I don't think, I mean, they might have started pushing it over there, but the spinoffs were in the works before HBO Max was even a thing. Because Game of Thrones was so popular, they were like, we're doing spinoffs. Like, they had a pilot that cost like $30 million and they just fucking canned it. Like,
yeah, so, it says HBO Max. Yeah, so it was going to be an HBO Max original. I guess it's just being pushed to HBO.
Yeah, it'll just be pushed to HBO. which is where it should be anyways. But like, I think a lot of people are getting scared and thinking that HBO itself is just going to not have scripted content anymore. But it's just that HBO Max is just going to not have scripted content, and it's going to be merged into Discovery. It's totally different.
Well, it doesn't really help, again, optics, when 2 reality TV series were just announced for HBO Max today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what got Discovery big, right?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. The problem is people that like trash television like that. That's not on anybody else. It's just it sells. My family watches that stuff. I can't watch it. Clay watches it, don't you?
I watch one show, and then
Yeah.
my wife, Abby, she watches like 17 different reality TV shows.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how? I can't do it.
Yeah, I prefer scripted stuff. And so yeah, it's not going to be. I won't be subscribing to Discovery Plus.
No.
My thing is, what happens to Harley Quinn?
You can't be as raunchy as you were if it goes to HBO.
Yes, you can.
I don't think. Can you still be as raunchy?
Yeah, HBO is a premium, dude, bro. When I was growing up, HBO is where you went to see the naughty shit. Okay, all right. It was after 10 o'clock. After 10 o'clock, shit started going off, and I was just like, damn. And the thing is HBO had Game of Thrones. I know you're going through it, but Game of Thrones has rape in it. So, Harley Quinn ain't doing anything that bad. So, you know what I mean? So,
shit, that's something we didn't do today. I haven't watched the new episode.
I haven't watched. This thing is so beyond packed. We'll cover both episodes next week. Because I didn't watch it either. That's the one thing that sucks is somehow these shows always drop when we record the podcast the day of, which is fucking dumb. I wish they would come out earlier, but it is what it is. But we have heard that Zaslav wants to make a studio just for animation. So I think Harley Quinn could survive. Also, what's happening? What's going to happen to the Batman cartoon?
Oh, yeah, the Cape Crusader.
Yeah. What? That would kill Brubaker's spirit, I think, if it gets canceled.
Well, not only that, J.J. Abrams was attached to it, and he hasn't done shit for WB. So
true.
It may be like you didn't want to do shit? Well, you're not going to make money off of this. We're canning it.
But Reeves is also attached, though. So I don't think they want to upset Reeves. Because Reeves actually made them money. So,
true.
But I think that sees the light of day because that's probably already way too much into production that they don't want to. Damn, they canceled Scoob though. Scoob got canceled. So I can kind of see. I don't know. We'll see what happens after today. Because there's going to be a lot going on. But if they're branching out into different stuff, you would need Harley Quinn and Batman to kind of keep those things going. If you're going to make your own studio for that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's smart, though. Like, because for the longest time, we were talking about separating. DC should get its own studio. Animation get its own studio. Zaslav's doing that. We got to just wait and see what's going to happen. So, but anyways, let's move on to, I think we kind of already covered Joker too. We did. So we're done with that.
The next one, I don't think you have looked at this. So I'll go ahead and talk about it just really quickly. Gotham Knights had 2 videos come out this week. One being a 16-minute gameplay trailer. It starts off the moment you choose which character you're going to be for the rest of your gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on for 16 minutes. Damn. This shows a lot of the movement. That shows a lot of the aspects of like how detective vision, what we know as detective vision because of the Arkham games, how that works. Some of the game like fighting techniques and everything else. This did not look bad. There is a little bit of stuff that I have a little bit of a problem with. In the beginning of this 16-minute video, the only thing I could focus on is how blocky Batgirl's hair was when talking to the rest of the team. Ooh. It just didn't flow as well as I would think a new gen character or game design should. So that was a little issue I had. But one thing that I really loved is there's a point in the game where Barbara is needing to find a code to a secret door. And you figure out, okay, I have to put this code into the microwave because the microwave buttons is what opens the secret doors. And so you actually investigate your surroundings. And it's not like in the old days, I feel like it would be like this blatant, like, hey, 6245 is written on the board. You're like, okay, here it is. No, there's like 4 different things with numbers. And so you legit have to look and see which one of the combinations of these numbers would actually work. And it does give you a little bit of like highlighted emblems of like, oh, this is definitely one and this is definitely another, and then you work it out. So it does hold your hand a little bit, but I still thought it was very, very cool. There is a name drop of Kirk Langstrom in this as well. I thought that was really cool. This does seem like a completely different origin and universe for the Bat universe, because it sounded like the Bat family didn't know who this person was when the name dropped.
Yeah.
Which is kind of odd considering Kirk Langstrom, of course, is Man-Bat, and he's a really big character in the Bat universe. So there's that. The suit reveal, though, was a completely separate video from IGN that had 28 different costumes that were shown in this one video. It's a 9-minute video. And the really cool thing that I wanted to share with this is we as gamers, when we have a costume thing, we're always like, oh, I want to keep this costume, but keep the aesthetic of this and keep the aesthetic of this. I want the attributes of this and whatnot. And then like your character can kind of look really fucking silly with how much weird shit is on them. They have said that's not how it's going to go. So there's this really cool design of like the Shinobi.
I'm looking at some of them right now.
And so the Shinobi design has 3 different outfits for the Shinobi line. One where it's very simplistic. You see the face, you see the eyes, and then you upgrade via boots, gloves. There's like 3 gloves of the Shinobi. There's 3 masks of the Shinobi. There's 3 boots of the Shinobi. So you can really upgrade to like fully armored badassery or very simplistic, like year 1 type of character design, which I do enjoy. I do like that you can't mix match, because I think for me, as far as these character designs, I think it would be kind of silly if like you had all of this like high tech stuff and then had a really low tech like mask or whatever. But I thought it was really, really cool. Jim Lee did one full design for them. A lot of these designs actually came from random artists that were paid on the internet. They went to nice. DeviantArt and like all these other different art websites, and were paying people for their designs, getting credited onto the game. But they also got designs from art houses in like Europe and Japan and other countries. So I thought that was really, really cool, and I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these, and the only ones I kind of really like are the Dark Knight skins. Everything else is kind of
yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know. That's cool. I need to check it out eventually. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll buy the game, but I will say I'm not overly excited for it. So yeah. Then again, I just feel like I just play Fall Guys nowadays. So we'll see what happens.
What happened to Genshin, man?
I play Genshin every day. But it's like part of my like life now. Like it's just like a routine thing now. It's because I'm trying to get the fucking free gems. Like they dropped a new character, not a new character, but a character I don't have. They did a rerun banner. I didn't even know. I was like, oh fuck, and I tried to get her yesterday, but I don't have enough shit. So damn. I gotta wait out the next few months of playing, or the next weeks. But anyways, what is this super auto or super pets and shit? What is that?
So the big thing here is the box office and family movies, and I wanted to bring this conversation up because, for one, it doesn't look like Super Pets hit its mark on opening weekend. They were aiming for 54 million. They only got 52 million. Not too crazy.
Not 2 million less. But yeah.
I mean, it's only 2 million, but when you look at other family movies that have come out this year, a lot of other family movies have not really hit their marks. For example, Lightyear had a $200 million budget. It only hit like it hit 50 million, but
Mhm.
it was reaching for 75 million for its opening weekend. It was
Mm.
20 million below. So
Yeah.
that's a big mark. And what the reason why I'm bringing this conversation up is The Rock just flat out spoiled the ending of this movie because he doesn't think it's a success, and he like jumped ship and is already pushing Black Adam again.
Mhm.
I think for the idea of family movies, I think Spider-Verse is an excellent Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It's a really cool family movie, and a lot of it came from the popularity in Netflix. But I do think the Into the Spider-Verse 2 is going to make a lot of money because of how popular the first one has been.
Yeah.
And so my idea is, why isn't, and I know we complain about too much Batman, but Mask of the Phantasm was a theatrical release. Why
Yeah.
aren't they making more like solo DC character movies?
Maybe that's going to happen under Zaslav. They want to do an animation
Hopefully.
studio. So I think I think DC's just had this weird mentality of like, oh, we need stuff that's going to go straight to DVD, which is kind of dumb. Like, why not just like cut half of those straight to DVD movies and put that budget into making a really good animation movie, you know?
Yeah.
I will say, I think the reason why family movies aren't hitting the mark right now is because I think there are a lot of parents that are still worried about COVID.
Well, and not only that, I do think that due to just the economy right now,
Yeah.
like I would think, because even I have not gone to the theaters too often this year. Like
Yeah.
I had 2 vaccines, and I think I have 2 boosters. I have to look back on my card. But I see it as like, okay, if I'm going to the movies, I have to go to an early showing so it's
Yeah.
not as expensive, and I'm only getting a drink.
Yeah.
Because this shit has gotten super expensive, especially if you're going for a family movie. Like, we're not shy about this. Me and Juice, go back and forth on who's buying tickets for most of these
Yeah.
superhero films and the films that we see in the future. We are spending nearly like what, $35 to almost $40 for tickets for the 2 of us. And then if you're putting a family into that, you're reaching closer to like $100 plus
Yeah.
maybe a babysitter and all sorts of this stuff. Like it is expensive. And I do think that is an issue also.
For sure. I think everybody's kind of hurting right now when it comes to financial shit. But yeah, I don't know. So I think there's other things, but I do think that we'll get more animated movies in the future. There was rumors of a Batman Beyond being made like the Spider-Verse after that came out, but
yeah,
is that ever going to happen? We don't know, especially with everything changing now. We'll have to wait and see. So next up, we kind of talked about this in the Discord, but you brought up, with everything crazy going on, do you think that DC Comics is going to get sold?
I think that now more than ever, with Zaslav being the saving money guy, because one of the things that I had put out there, that is out there in any article, you can go find it. Zaslav wants to make $3 billion cuts for the entire company to save money. Currently, I think he's like going out to like, for this year alone, he's trying to reach like 300 million or something like that. But like overall, he's wanting to reach a $3 billion cut of savings. And if that means letting go of a comics division, I think he might do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've had this discussion on the podcast before. I don't think you buy DC Comics unless you get the movie rights. Now, there could be some kind of, somebody could swoop in like an Amazon or somebody and try to buy the rights for the comics and also maybe get a percentage, be like, yo, we get 70% of the revenue from these movies and y'all get X amount. You know what I mean? But now that I think about it, like I was talking about this in the Discord, I could see like a big publisher like Penguin House or whatever, buying the rights to just the books. Because just imagine getting the catalog of graphic novels and you can be like, oh, what we're going to do is we're going to make pretty covers and we're just going to release them again. And people are going to buy them.
And I even said, Penguin Random House is big in the audio drama segment. So you could get even more of those, who are not only Batman.
Yeah.
If they were to do that.
Yeah, so I think I could see somebody do that now and then just, WB keep on to the rights to the movies and see what happens. Because what I would do is I would be like, okay, we're going to buy the rights to all the comic books, but what's going to happen is if you try to adapt any of our stories going forward, you have to pay us. Like, they cannot take ideas from future stories.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all get to mess with whatever happened here, but if we come out with a banger, with a new character, with something like that, because that's the thing, right? If you were to buy the rights, like if Warner Brothers gets the movie rights, and they can get the movie rights to all the big characters right now, I would be like, you get all of what we have in catalog right now. But going forward, if we create a new amazing character, you do not own those rights anymore. We own those rights. If we come out with Booger Man and Booger Man becomes the biggest fucking villain in Batman's universe, you can't use Booger Man in fucking your next movie because you don't have the rights to that. That'd be kind of a sweet deal, because at that point, I would start telling my writers, I want every new character to have a new villain. I would try, and I want you to take your time and actually don't fucking designer this fucking shit and ruin it. Like, actually make a good villain for every superhero, because I want to fucking get back at WB and they can't use these. And I would start fucking pushing that.
Well, no, I like that idea, but the one problem that I see with Zaslav being the money saving guy now, the creator of Thanos came out to say that he had more money come from WB because of the small appearance of KG Beast in BVS than he has total of the amount of Thanos screen time that Marvel has gotten. And there was even a huge article about the creators of what is her name? The sister of Black Widow.
I don't know. But yeah, they only got Natasha, paid like 5 Gs.
Well, Natasha is Black Widow. But yeah, they got screwed out of freaking millions of dollars, apparently.
Yeah.
They signed a contract and I think it was almost $500,000, and they only got $5,000 from it.
Yeah. That's on Disney for being fucking crazy with their shit. But yeah, I would do that. It's be all right, whatever the agreement is you don't get access to any future characters. And I wonder if somebody like Penguin House, because this is where it would get really interesting. Say Penguin House were to buy DC Comics, right? What if Penguin House, they're all right, we have no ties to AT&T, no ties to everything. We 100% own the comic books. What if they came in and they were like, you now own the rights to your character if you create them in Batman, or partial rights? I would go partial rights, because I probably wouldn't want to be like, you own everything. But you now get royalties if your character is used. And I'd be like, that can get some big names to come back to DC and be like, oh, okay, let's try to do whatever. Although I'd be a little bit more lenient. I'd be like, no, you can't just include Batman Who Laughs, Snyder, just in this book so you can get royalties. It needs to be a good story. We're not trying to do Metal 2 over here, my guy. By the way, did you see his article on talking about possibly coming back to DC? If they asked him if he wanted to. He said he's in a pretty good spot right now, but I'm not a big fan of Snyder anymore, but he did say the right things. He was all right now, I think DC is in really good hands with Tom King, Joshua Williamson, and he mentioned somebody else. And he was I think they're doing really good. He was I don't want to come back to DC and mess up what they're doing. He was, they're trying to do a new universe. I don't want to come in here and step on any toes or do anything like that. He was I'd love to write again for DC. He was out, but I'm not looking to be a universe builder or anything like that. So I'm like, that's where you should be. You shouldn't be building universes. But I like that he didn't want to fuck up anything. He's like, they've got a lot of great people over there. He's like, I'm not trying to come in and, ruin shit. So I was like, all right, cool. I admire that at least. But he shouted out Tom King because I've always been kind of like curious if he likes Tom King or not.
Yeah.
Because, he had his fucking disciple fucking, younglings, all of Tom King's shit. So I don't know. But anyways, I think that's everything. Now we can go into viewer questions. Because we have a shitload of comic books to talk about.
Yes, we do. And I am a little bit on a time crunch. So let's go ahead and jump into these questions on the YouTubes. It says here, Nathan Carbajal says, how do you think the DCEU should handle Batman killing going forward? Maybe have them remember why he doesn't kill and stop, or maybe use this as their strength and explore how he was pushed over the edge. Most likely talking about the Ben Affleck coming back and everything else.
Yeah. I think they ignore it.
The easiest thing is you ignore it.
Yeah.
Because the whole point of Batman versus Superman is that he learned from the events of BVS, hey, I should not kill.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would stretch I still don't, even with the Snyder Cut, after watching that fucking 10-hour movie, I still don't think what they tried to do, because it was not rumored, but it was said that what happened in Justice League was Batman trying to redeem himself, right? Like, because there's that moment where he's like, I'm going to go in there, and when I give you your opening, that's when you come in, or whatever, right? Like, he was on a suicide mission. There's even somebody that says, like, he's on a suicide mission or whatever. And it's supposed to be that awesome Batman moment where he's like, he's doing this on his own, and then they save him, and then he's like, yeah, fucking all that bullshit. I thought it was done poorly in both versions, Justice and Justice. I don't think it came across like that at all. Like, he was trying to get redemption. And I think it could have done a lot better. But at this point, it's been so long since BVS, you just fucking ignore it. Don't even bring it up. Just
let Batman be Batman.
Yeah. You don't bring it up at this point. It's just too old. Because if you do, you're just allowing the Snyder Cut people to bring it up more. Like, oh yeah, that's the fucking Zack Snyder's storyline, and you know what? In his 10-issue catalog of what his future movie was supposed to be, and it's like, oh my god, fucking get out of here, dude. We don't care about that T-shirt that you have. So yeah, like, you don't fuck with it. That's what you do.
Yeah. Montri Lorenzo says, honestly, I would like to have the original Justice League cast, maybe add Shazam or Martian Manhunter for a sequel, since Batman, Superman, and Cyborg leaving is due to the Warner Bros. Who should make amends? Ezra, however, should get checked into rehab before returning.
Rumors of that, no?
There is rumors.
I don't know where those come from, though.
Well, like, there is currently, I just shared a Business Insider article just on Discord right before we started recording, saying that, like, apparently Ezra is, like, building a cult in Iceland or something. Very, very odd. So who the hell knows? But I've also heard that he has already been checked into rehab. So I have no idea what is going on with Ezra.
Yeah, I have no idea. But I still think, like, I mean, a year's a long time, and I don't know if they're trying to push that movie back even more to give him time to rebuild his image, which would be insane.
Yeah.
And if you're going to take all of that time from the movie, these better be the best VFX. There's no reason these VFX should look bad. Yeah. No reason whatsoever.
But, like, I've also heard in this week of everything going on with Batgirl, there are still people saying, oh, well, WB doesn't necessarily know what to do with Flash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're making the movie. The movie's already almost finished. Just, like, let it be. And then toss Ezra and start your reboot.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you just, digitally kill him at the end or do something and replace him. Like, oh yeah, this is the real Flash, Or I think that's the way you introduce fucking Jeffrey Dean Morgan's fucking Batman. and then be
Oh
like, this
yeah.
is the real Flash. And you'll be like, what the fuck? And then it ends with Flashpoint Redux or some bullshit like that. That's fucking 80s hardcore movie. It's gonna happen again. But yeah, anyways.
Raphael is the last question on YouTube. He asks, nothing to do with Batman this time. What is your opinion? What, in your opinion, is the best movie of 2022? I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it blew my mind.
So I read that comment last night to check if we did have questions on YouTube, and I went to go watch the trailer, and it's an A24 studio film, so that means it's a fucking banger. I don't know where that studio came from, but they just drop bangers. Like, that's all they do. And one of the comments, the first comment I think on there that had the most likes, or it was just the top comment, was like, a movie that isn't a remake, a sequel, a trilogy, a fucking universe connecting film, just an original concept. He's like, this is so fucking refreshing. And just seeing the trailer, it looked fucking wild. And I was like, I want to see it.
It's like, I've heard so many good things about it.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to watch it. I'm going to see about renting it sometime within the next few weeks, because it's already released on physical and digital media.
Oh, is it? Nice.
Yeah. I will say my favorite movie of 2022 is Elvis so far. That one was really, really good, starring Tom Hanks, and starring Austin Butler as Elvis, and then Tom Hanks is in there as well. Really, really good movie.
Have I seen anything this year? I don't know if I've seen anything this year, but because the only thing I remember going to the theater for this year is Belle, which is the anime movie, which was good. It was just an anime version of Beauty and the Beast, which was nice. Modern day version. I'm going to say Stranger Things. It's not a movie, but they were long enough to be movies. That's what I'll say.
I think as soon as you were finished, you like went to Discord and be like, who the fuck said this was a bad show? Fuck you guys.
And I was like, fuck you guys. I'm never going to listen to you. There's this one moment. It's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. But this one moment when they like time up this guitar riff in the fucking Upside Down with Metallica, it looks so good, dude. It's all I was like, yeah. I was like, fuck, dude, yeah.
I saw somebody like almost perfectly sync the Power Rangers theme song to the moment when they're in the Upside Down world with him playing Metallica. So good, dude. I was like, dude, that is fucking awesome.
Dude, have you seen it? It's so good, bro.
No, I've only seen the first season of Stranger Things.
You need to watch that. Fuck anything else you're watching, just watch Stranger Things, because like the music is so good in like the way they do it in that show. The audio itself is just fucking phenomenal. And I got the burps like crazy right now, but I loved it. I want to rewatch the whole series. It's so good.
I'm eventually. I think Stranger Things might be next on my list after I go through all of Game of Thrones.
That's gonna take you like 5 years though. The way you're doing it,
it's gonna take a year.
Oh,
Chill out.
God.
I do have one question on Twitter because I did ask for questions this time. Comes from Charlie. He says, "Do you guys think there is a chance of DC Universe Infinite being removed or changed? I've been waiting for that thing to come to Canada for years. I just got it. Literally saves so much money."
I'm sure there's a way to do it, but like if you're scared of it being removed, just download all your favorite comics, man. Like, I mean, what can you do when a company keeps doing that to you, you know? Like, I saw somebody make a really strong point on Twitter. They were like, if HBO Max is taking away movies that you've paid for, right? Like you paid for a service and they're just quietly removing videos without telling you, what are you supposed to do? Like, that's why they were talking about, this is the reason why you should buy physical, so you can always have the thing. And I quote tweeted them and I was like, or join a pirate ship. And I was like Johnny Depp smiling as Captain Jack Sparrow. But what do you do? Like, I am somebody that is for supporting the arts, for paying for content. But what do you do when it constantly gets taken away from you? You know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken, Ubisoft has a really big problem coming up because they are discontinuing like a game that if you bought it, you can't play it anymore. Like, they're doing something online. Like, if you bought the digital version, they are going to discontinue the game. And even if you bought it and I guess it's no longer downloaded on your PC, you cannot re-download it in the future. So you have to forever have it on your PC going forward.
That's some shit.
And that's fucked. And like, that's the bad thing about digital shit, right? The one thing I went fully digital. Granted, I was tired of trying to find a PlayStation, so I have a disc version. So I could still buy physical and be okay if I wanted to. But every time there's maintenance on the network or something, you can't play any of your digital games, which is fucking terrible. And I'm so glad I have a physical version of GTA, because I'm like, I can live off of GTA by itself. Like, that's fine. But for the most part, what do you do when movie studios start taking your favorite movies? Like, I'm paying for a service that should always be there. So if you're paying for a service and they're like, we're just going to cut it, I say you have a month to download all of your favorite movies or all your favorite books. You know what I mean? Granted, just telling you, this is if they fuck you over and you don't get your full month. But for the most part, if you got the money to pay for something, pay for it. I like the way shit looks, so I like to buy it physically, personally. Yeah. I like to buy manga physically. I like to buy graphic novels physically. I'm tired of the loose leaf shit. Although I'm still buying all Tom King's books just to go to the comic shop. I'm not going to say part of me too is just to kind of go to a comic shop and support a comic shop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really care about the books anymore. But yeah, I mean, I gave away like a whole box of comics like a year or two ago during COVID.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I gave it to one of my friend's kids. I was like, bring another kid into comics. Why not? It was a bunch of stuff that wasn't like collectors. It was a bunch of loose leaf bullshit. I was like, there's a bunch of Batgirl stuff too, which is cool. But now, hopefully he didn't really like Batgirl and find out about these news, because he is going to be crushed. But anyways, so I just saw this on Twitter right now. No, not on Twitter. This was actually not in our questions section, but it is by the Ponderer. Sent this tweet from somebody named Steven Wintrum. I don't know how to say his last name. Spoke to people that saw Batgirl, and they said it was a huge disappointment. Also, that the costumes look cheap, especially Keaton's Batman costume. I figured WB would dump it on HBOmax, but it looks like we will never see it.
Yeah, I will say Steven is one of those guys that does like to just like, hey, I'm gonna say whatever I can to get a lot of likes.
Okay.
So he does like, people are really mad about this. Let's see if I can get more likes off of this tweet.
Granted, I disagree with the Batgirl costume. I think it looks fucking great. Yeah. But the photos we saw of Keaton's costume did look kind of shitty.
Yes. We were very concerned about the armor look and how it kind of looked like football pads, how it's kind of loose around the chest. But we had always said that, okay, I think there could be upgrades to Batgirl's suit, but it still looks badass for a year one costume.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that person. I'm not on Twitter that much. Again, I don't follow. Clay is the only person. I think I follow Tom King too. Only two people that talk about comics on my timeline, because I don't like spoilers. And some of you assholes out there that love to spoil everything on Twitter can go fuck yourself. So I don't follow any of you guys. And if that's why you're wondering, like, Juice, I talk to you on Twitter all the time, why don't you follow me back? Is because I don't know what the fuck you post, and I don't want to hate you, and that's why I don't follow you back. Okay, that's fucking why. So yeah.
So we do have questions on Discord that we'll go through really quick. Some of them we've already answered. Young, do you think WB will cancel anything else? If so, what do you think they will cancel? We think that Gotham Knights is going to be canceled today. Yeah. I honestly think that Superman and Lois might be canceled. And I really hope that Blue Beetle does not get canceled.
Yeah, as long as they don't cancel Blue Beetle, I don't give a fuck at this point. Because everything else isn't in production. We've already seen Blue Beetle. Like we've seen the costume, we've seen a lot of the other shit, and I'm just like, don't cancel that. So everything else, I don't care. Oh, well, I mean, Peacemaker has already been confirmed that it's safe. So, other than that, there's nothing else. I'm curious on what will cancel Titans. Oh my God, Zaslav, cancel Titans. That'd be fucking phenomenal.
Please, for the love of God.
Please cancel Titans. I like Doom Patrol though. Keep Doom Patrol. And don't do Brendan Fraser dirty twice. Like, come on. That was
exactly. Charlie asked, what happens to these shelves projects? If there is an underground market, where can I see Batgirl? Like we said before, as long as it's not making a profit wherever they place it, this can be put anywhere online.
I think, if it doesn't happen soon, I think it's going to be somebody's life mission to get really close into WB, because I'm assuming that WB has an archive of everything, and this footage is going to be just sitting somewhere, and somebody who works in that department is going to be like, I want to see this, and they're going to steal it at some point, and they're going to make it happen. I think that's going to be somebody's life fucking mission to just have this come out.
They start applying to every fucking WB job.
Yeah, dude. Like, I think that's gonna be like, like there was like Snowden was like, I have this stuff about the NSA and I'm gonna release it because people don't know that they're being spied on. Somebody's gonna do that for Batgirl. That's gonna be their life mission.
That's awesome.
Make Batgirl release, and then we can make a documentary about the person that fucking released Batgirl. Like, this was their life. This was their goal. And then at the end of it, we can make it really dramatic where they're running out of WB with the fucking Batgirl stuff. They're getting shot like fucking, what is it, Full Metal Jacket? They're like, because WB's like fucking shooting them. But they throw Batgirl to the plane that takes off and saves it. And they're just like, yeah. That's how they die at the end. Yep, that'll be a fucking great movie right there.
King asks, do you think that the Gotham Knights game will be a massive success or a failure? I say that it is running on a thin line. I think that it can be a massive hit if everything is done right, or I think it'll be a massive failure due to the fact that it has a lot of similarities to that Marvel Avengers game.
I think it's going to be forgettable. Yeah,
probably. Like, just by you saying that, I completely forgot Suicide Squad is still a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Gotham Knights is going to come out. It's going to get a week of buzz, whether that's bad or good, and then something else is going to come out that's going to blow it out of the water, and we're going to forget about Gotham Knights, and that's what's going to happen because it's not a solo story. It's based around multiplayer, and I think that's going to be the problem.
Yeah, for sure.
So go from there. What else we got? I know Ponderer asked a question too.
Yeah, okay. The Ponderer asked at the very end, like right before we started recording. But Kid Stu asks, I recently saw someone say that the issue with DCEU and the fluctuation in quality is that unlike Marvel Studios being its own team under Disney, DC essentially is WB. What's your opinion on this? And do you think DC having their own studio would improve the coherency and quality of the DCEU? We've said this before. I think that DC needs a DC Studios. It needs a head telling everybody what to do with DC films. They will answer to WB, and WB can say, hey, we really want this character to have a movie, but ultimately it would be DC Studios that makes those movies.
Yeah. They don't have a Feige. That's why. It's always been the main thing. They don't have a Feige. And maybe Zaslav's going to be that Feige, or maybe it's Alan Horn now, right? Like, maybe Alan Horn is the Feige going forward.
He's already said that he doesn't want to do that. He said that he's cool with making like helping along the process of finding that person, but he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. If DC's okay with throwing away so much money, just be like, yo, I don't want Feige actually, because Feige's mentality is, as long as people are laughing, it's a good movie.
Yeah, so the really funny thing is, I believe, let me actually go back into the Discord. I believe it was Young who was saying, like, oh, like, people are wanting Disney to buy DC or something like that. Yeah, it was Young. Young, here's a little bit of a fun fact for you. Back in 2015, when the old president of Disney, before Iger, I can't remember his name, he was basically telling Feige, hey, you can't make a Black Panther movie. Hey, you can't make this movie. Hey, you can't make this movie. Feige actually had a phone call with WB. He was about to jump ship. So we almost had Feige making DC movies. So
yeah, it would have. Feige is like the Chip Zdarsky. He would have been like Chip Zdarsky in the DCEU, and we don't want that. So
I don't know entirely. I would go that far, but I do agree.
Have you read 126?
I do think I do think that Feige is a fan of a lot of these properties, and I think he would be able to do great at some things, but he wouldn't be able to do great on everything. That's
I
what I think.
don't think he could make a good Batman film. How do you make Batman funny? They tried to do it with Justice League, and look at how bad that was.
I don't think he would make him funny because, oh well, I'm trying to think of like serious characters. Black Panther. Black Panther wasn't super funny.
No, I'll give you that, but I also don't think. Then hear me out on this. I don't think he could make him funny because people would have been like, "Oh, you're just gonna make the black guy a comedian? Like you're gonna really do that? The big first black superhero that we got, you really gonna do that to him and not make him be serious?" If Feige didn't want that fire, you think he wanted that fire? He doesn't want that fire. Like he's not gonna do that. So no way he's gonna do that. And who was the funny guy in that? The white guy. They made the white villain guy the comedic relief in that movie.
No,
and the sister a little bit.
They had their family moments.
Yeah. But the sister was also a COVID denier, so like or vaccine denier. So we don't need to give her credit right now. But anyways, freaking yeah, I don't know. I don't think he can make a Batman movie because I don't know who it was. It might have been Drew. Somebody was saying Moon Knight. Like they're like fuck Moon Knight. Like
Moon Knight was they changed a lot of things with Moon Knight, and there was some funny parts in there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you don't like, which I do think they would do with Batman, is they take a very serious moment and they're like, it needs to be funny at the end.
I hate it. Fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. Guardians of the Galaxy was such a good movie, but it was the downfall of the MCU, which is so bad. Because everything after that, they were like, oh, we can make bad characters funny. Thor, you're funny. Iron Man, you're funny. Doctor Strange, you're funny. Like, oh my God, bro. Like, that's the worst thing. Superhero fatigue. I'm over it, man. And if they cancel Blue Beetle, this is the perfect jumping off point for me not watching movies. Like, I'll wait for streaming services. I don't care. And you know, it's I mean,
I was gonna
go
ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say like we don't even have the Batman to count on anymore because we don't like it.
No, we don't.
You know, like, and that's not funny at all. It's just boring.
Yeah.
So,
but what I was gonna say is, I'm gonna have the excuse of having a daughter. Like, I'm gonna have a kid, and so I'm just like, oh, can't go see a movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Nope. Can't go see it.
Dude, again, it's funny that Raphael brought up that one movie because I saw the trailer from the A24 studio. Like that felt so refreshing. And again, when I just watched Stranger Things and they're like 2.5 hours, the finale's 2.5 hours, which is crazy. And watching that, I was like, this feels so good to like watch something different. And granted, it has like monsters and shit in it, but I was just like, this feels nice. Like they're paying attention to the like audio. It's not relying on big spectacles and explosions. There's like genuine emotion in this movie, and I really like it. And I saw somebody on Twitter the other day just put like, let's not forget how much of a masterpiece Inception was. And it's been a while since I've seen Inception, and it's one of my favorite movies. But it was just the clip of like when he opens the safe at the very end and he notices his dad kept that stupid little spin wheel he made when he was a child. And I just remembered the whole story of that. And I'm like, God damn. And then the way the fucking audio is going and shit's happening all at the same time. I'm like, that was such a good fucking moment, man. Like cinema is amazing, but I feel like it's kind of sad that Martin Scorsese might be right at the end of the day. And we don't want him to be right at the end of the day. And maybe the spaghetti Western era is over. You know what would be fucking fantastic? Is if somebody started making really good Western movies now and Western movies come back and kill off the fucking superhero genre. Jeez. That'd be hilarious. I don't know what's going to be next, though. I don't know what the next big thing is. I think we're going to see a renaissance of non-sequel movies.
No, a friend of mine was like, "Oh God, what if the next Renaissance is fucking musicals? Just nothing but musicals."
Hey man, Joker might bring that in if it's what it's going to be, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think I do genuinely think if Joker goes trilogy style, but they make every movie very different, I think that could be the new thing. But we'll see. But then it only takes like a John Wick to show up and everybody be like, oh yeah, fucking, because hyper violence is already over. John Wick is the only series that's still going.
Yeah.
And the only thing I think came close to John Wick, because like Brad Pitt's movie's trying to do that right now. Nobody's gonna go watch that.
Apparently it's doing good.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I it's an afterthought in my thing. Karen Gillan's wasn't good. It wasn't the greatest. I mean, it looked pretty. But I think the only thing that came close to John Wick was Atomic Blonde, which that was really good. I enjoyed Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde and John Wick should cross over. But I think they're in two different eras. So, kind of sucks. Anyways, we move on from that.
Last question of the day being from the Ponderer himself. He says, all right, and we've already kind of answered this. It's just optics. But the question is, all right, do you think that the new CEO of WB canceled Batgirl because of feminism ? Like he doesn't want to do these things they had with Supergirl and Batgirl being replaced with Batman and Superman.
I just think it hasn't went into production and it got deleted because it was going to be a HBO Max show and they said we're getting rid of scripted stuff. And, it's an easy cut. I don't think it's anything. Anybody that's coming out and saying that it's like underlining, like, oh, it's because she's a woman or whatever. Like, I think that's a stretch right now. Again, if it comes out that they're canceling all this shit and then they recast all of these actors, then I think you can play the race card because we haven't even got to see if they were good or not. You know what I mean? And even though people are saying that the Batgirl movie was bad, some people have said Leslie Grace was dope as Batgirl. So, it's not that. And WB, it's going to be even worse if WB's like, oh, yeah, we canceled the movie not because of her performance. She's amazing. And then they go and recast her. But what could happen and what they're probably going to pray for is that they're going to offer her a role as Batgirl. And she's going to be like, no, because you didn't fucking release my movie. And they're going to be like, okay. And then if they recast her with a white girl, then they're going to be like, we offered it to her. You know what I mean? So,
exactly.
But I don't think people would care because they're going to be like, redheaded white girl, Batgirl. Oh, fuck. Comic book accuracy, fuck. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But yeah, I don't think that there was anything underlining this. I think that was just pure business. Like, we're cutting all this shit. We're trying to save money. That movie's not, like, it's not in production yet. So it's an easy cut. It's like the fucking Wonder Twins. Granted, the Wonder Twin in DC versus Vampires, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, she's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing something with like that. Some kind of like, Elseworld story that's crazy. That'd be cool. But anyways, let's move on to comic books. I told Clay about this right before the start of this podcast. The worst book this week is Batman 126.
Which is insane.
Yeah. Do we start off with that? Right? I think because I think Dark Crisis and Flashpoint are big enough to end.
Yes, I think so as well.
Okay.
So where do you want to go from here, man? We read this again.
Yeah, go for it.
We read this a month ago.
Yeah, that's how it's always going to be now.
We read this as soon as we possibly could. And honestly, I did not reread it because I didn't want to reread it.
Yeah.
We had told you guys 2 months ago, guys, we're not looking great here. We have some issues with this and everything else. And even Drew and Young and who else was talking in the Discord, we were all kind of saying how, like, man, we like, now that it's out, I kind of see what you guys are talking about here. Raphael is also in here, getting the same vibes. But this writing, man, this voice for Batman, I don't understand why Chip is going this route. I just don't.
Yeah. I don't understand it either. Drew hates it. I was I want to know Drew's opinion on this book because me and Drew butt heads. But I was like, if he fucking likes Zdarsky's book, like I'm jumping off a cliff if he likes Zdarsky's writing. Or I was curious because Drew is like a hardcore comic book guy in our Discord. And sometimes those hardcore comic book dudes love when they see new shit happen or like old shit from the old comics come back, right? So the Batman, as Zdarsky is naming it at the end of this book, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, was a Grant Morrison thing. Actually, it's not even a Grant Morrison thing because I believe Grant Morrison just made it cool. But there's this Batman reveal at the very end. And like, I think some people are going to be like, oh my God, like what the fuck? He brought that back like crazy. When I thought it was like the shittiest reveal. But let's go ahead and just dive into the whole review here. Yeah, the dialogue is fucking atrocious on this. I like how Tim Drake is now just Damian.
I was just about to bring that up. I don't know the difference between them anymore.
Yeah.
With Chip's writing.
Also, it doesn't help that Jimenez here doesn't really like, I don't know. I wouldn't know that this was Tim Drake. It just looks like a slightly older Damian.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that it's Tim Drake.
The facial structure of what used to be Damian is what this character looks like right here on the second page, where like you see like a worm's eye view or civilian view of the rafters on this building, and it looks like Damian.
Yeah, 100% looks like Damian. And then he just has like an attitude, like eventually giving off the vibe like, you're not my father. Like, yeah, I'm just like, that's Damian, bro. And so of course this book looks gorgeous. Like, it's fucking gorgeous. And then we get a lot of just like, my soldiers, and they've made me soft, and children. And then what is the big line here? Because obviously I'm a big Bad Cat fucking supporter. I couldn't marry Selena. I can't afford the level of distraction. But I look at the rest, at Tim, at Barbara. They deserve love and happiness. But I don't, because I'm Batman. And I need to be dark and brooding and a bitch. Like, what the fuck? I hate you, Zdarsky, you piece of shit. Oh, my God. Sorry. Fucking hate current Batman writer. Granted, if you guys are new to the podcast, you never heard it before, we do this. We like to exaggerate a little bit, but I am not happy with Zdarsky and his writing. I think it is bad.
No, genuinely. The big problem here, the big problem that I have here is this. What the fuck is his name? Safe. What is it?
Fail safe.
Fail safe.
Yeah.
This robot, of course, this is seemingly a creation of Batman's.
Yeah.
And through something or other, it has gone haywire, or it is fulfilling a directive from Batman himself.
Yeah.
And sees Batman and the Bat family as a problem.
Yeah.
And so, which I don't like. I think the title of this issue is called oh shit, what was the front cover saying? Fall of the Dark Knight, but I think the cliffhanger for 125 was like Batman and his Knights. Again, talking about soldiers and like, this isn't a family, this is an army.
Yeah. I want to point out here in this fight, because I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, the fight between Batman and Failsafe. There's one thing that I don't like that artists do for Batman every once in a while, and make him look well, not the eyes. Clay's pointing at his eyes as we're talking this podcast. I don't like when they make Batman look weak or cheesy when he's fighting. He should always look like a badass. There is this one fucking panel here where Batman is jumping like a child would to try to punch Failsafe, and Failsafe is blocking it. His legs are widespread and his hand is out, and he's like, "Wah!" And it looks so bad. And it reminds me of how bad Batman looked when he died, quote unquote, in Final Crisis. Like, I think that looks so bad.
Well, not only that, I think the really bad thing here, George was really weird on the proportions of Batman. He looks so thin.
Yeah.
His legs look thin. His torso looks thin. He just looks like a very scrawny person. So this is what makes it even more awkward when he's doing this position of like trying to punch failsafe.
Yeah. Also, we have as this fight is going on, Batman is of course doing his inner dialogue, and he's like, what does he say? He's like, fast, too fast, strong, get up, old man, get into the fight. It's too much. Need to get away. I'm dead if I stay here. I'm like, bro, what? Like, what is this dialogue? Like, Batman is way more calculated. He's not. I know Zdarsky is probably trying to showcase like Batman thinking in real time, but that's not comics. We don't need that.
Well, and I think because failsafe is supposed to be the doomsday of Batman, I think more so this is supposed to show you the fear of Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't feel like Batman would have much fear of this robot until the very end.
Yeah. I don't think he, out of all the things he's fought in his life, I don't think he would be scared of something that probably has an on and off switch.
That he created.
Yeah. You would think that something Batman created, he already has a way to defeat it. You know what I mean? Now, granted, we find out what the failsafe for failsafe is at the end of this fucking book, which I think is complete bullshit. But we got to talk about what happens first, because as this fight is going on, Batman clearly says concussion. Just have to hold on. And he uses, I will say this was kind of cool. He sends the Batmobile to drive away, and he shoots his grappling hook to hook onto the car to get away. That's kind of innovative. I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. I don't want to shit on everything, but that was kind of cool. He does get into the street, puts on his cowl, and then we have a battle of failsafe between Batman still fighting. We get a lot of Batman eyes, not the wide eyes, but Batman eyes in this. Never been a fan of that. But failsafe is starting to beat the shit out of Batman. And then we get the Bat family to show up. We love the Bat family. We love when they show up. So this was kind of cool. But again, I don't feel like they're family because they're soldiers. They're Batman soldiers. And they're a distraction. And they make him soft. Let's see. He'll kill them. He has to. Stephanie's breathing. Still alive. Thank God. But why would he? And like, it's just a bunch of like, this dialogue's bad, man. Like, I don't get it. But yeah, I don't know. And then, of course, Drake gets freaking Batman up, and he's like, we got to get you to a hospital. And he's like, failsafe is starting to chase after them. We see Nightwing come in all badass. I will say, I do like the way Dick Grayson showed up. I thought that was kind of fire. And he's there to try to fight failsafe. We do get Duke. I like that Duke's here. That was kind of cool. But failsafe just beats the shit out of all of them. And, it's just saying like my directive or whatever. They're trying to get to Leslie Tompkins because they're not going to go to a hospital, obviously. And failsafe is automatically at Tompkins' place. But they don't go to Tompkins. They go to the Batcave. And Batman, of course, is like, he's getting out of the car and they're like, yo, we got to get you upstairs. And he's like, no. He was like, there's got to be a failsafe for failsafe. And he starts talking about all this stuff of how he's softened. Because he's surrounded by children. He was all, but in my early days, God help me. In my early days, I went too far. Failsafe is familiar.
Now, here's the thing. When he is going into this like cave, right? Because this is the part that you're talking about. He is opening this chest, and he comes back, and the really cool thing is you see the purple gloves. And so my thought is, oh, he's going back to his original suit, like purple gloves and everything. And George Jimenez does this really cool close-up to Tim Drake. I think that looks actually really, really good.
It looks like Damien, in my opinion. But
then the next fucking splash page, the entire book.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's not the original costume. It is what I like to say was popularized by Grant Morrison is I don't even know how to say it because it's so weird. Zolorog or something like
it's ZUR dash EN dash ARRH. So it's Zur in Ah.
Yeah, Zur in Ah Batman. But Chip Zdarsky doesn't call it that. Chip Zdarsky says it's the Batman. You can't be Batman.
This is fucking Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Written all over it.
Yeah, it is all-star Batman and Robin. And it's crazy because the way you get away with writing these kind of books is you pair it with pretty art. And that's how people buy this, is because they're buying it for the art. Yeah, and now granted, he does say at the very bottom the actual title of the character. But when Morrison did it, he said this is Zur-En-Ah. Like he said that in his original book. But now Chip Zdarsky is like, it's the Batman. And I'm just like, but you're already Batman. Like, why does this purple suit make you get a the? Like, dude, Zdarsky sucks, bro. I've been saying this for a long time.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I will go ahead and say this now. I'm looking back at it. I did not read the backup for this.
Oh, you don't need to, because it introduces Catwoman's it introduces the new family members that are Penguin's children. Of course, he has a child that looks very much like him, kind of like this woman type character. It's basically a female version of Penguin. And they're going to try to go after Selena, or, Selena has plans or whatever. It's a fucking terrible story, too. So Zdarsky needs to get out of the Bat universe very fast. He needs to go back to Marvel and fucking stay there. They need to sign an exclusive contract and be like, you can write Daredevil for the rest of your life. Because he can't write Batman. I'm sorry. It's bad. The dialogue is so bad. He's rehashing stories that have already been told. Like, oh yeah, and this is what I hate. I think I'm not going to say that Zdarsky's not a good writer, because we know he is. It's the same thing with Tynion. Tynion's a good writer. But I think people have this weird mentality when it comes to Batman. As long as Batman looks cool, it equals a good story. And maybe that's why people don't like Tom King, because they felt Tom King maybe made Batman look weak because Batman had a romance. I don't know why people don't like Tom King. I still don't understand this. If you think Killing Time is a bad book, you're fucking dumb. Like, in my opinion.
Well, I'm fucking dumb then, because I have
You think it's a bad book? It's so good, bro.
No.
It's so
we will
good.
Get into it. We will get into it with
Clay's
6,
dumb.
but
He's
Jesus
dumb.
Christ.
Oh my God. No, it was fucking phenomenal. But still, like, I just don't understand how people don't like Tom King's writing. I don't get it. Like, to say he's a bad writer, I don't understand. If you don't like him, that's fine. I've had this discussion, like, saying something is bad and not liking something are two different things. I had this discussion with Young when it came to Stranger Things, because he wasn't a big fan of the new Stranger Things season. And he was like, it's bad writing. I'm like, whoa. I was like, it's not bad writing. He was like, I just thought this was predictable or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's fine if you want to say it's predictable, but that doesn't mean it's bad. You know what I mean? Like, and then we got into discussions of comparing other shows. Like, bad writing is Gotham. The show Gotham is bad writing. But I don't think something like Stranger Things is bad. Here, I feel like, one, comics is a little different because you're pulling off a medium that is 80 years old. And there have been solidified stories of people that are like, that is Batman. That is the perfect Batman book. That is something like that. Zdarsky is genuinely pulling from stories he loves as a child, or he loves as somebody who's growing up in comic books.
Yeah.
Because this is Grant Morrison and Frank Miller written all over it. Yeah. And I don't understand the soldier stuff and why we're pulling Batman back to having to be by himself. He already doesn't have money, and now he's got to go back to being a nobody. Like it doesn't like a loner. That doesn't make good Batman stories. And I feel like people think like Batman is only good when this happens. And I want to see if Zdarsky had a shitty artist on this book, I think everybody would be shitting on this.
Yeah.
He is so lucky he has Jimenez because this is bad, in my opinion. It doesn't sound like Batman. And so far, the story's bland and it's monthly. There's no reason for monthly Batman to be bad. It's no excuse. And it sucks because we're going to have him for the next 2 years or so. So
probably, yeah.
And you know what makes it even worse? Batman 125 was the best-selling comic book last month. So that means he's going to be around for a while. But yeah, fuck it. I don't buy this book. I don't care about this book. And unfortunately, we're going to have him for a while. And he's going to be ruining Catwoman too. So granted, I think Teenie Howard, I've already read 46. I think she's a better writer when it comes to Batman.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I have nothing else to say about this book. Fuck
yeah.
I'm done with it. Let's move on to, let's kind of just talk about these in general. We don't have to review them. The Azrael books. What are your thoughts on these? Because these came out of nowhere. I didn't know anything about this.
One thing that I absolutely love in comics is the exploration of religion and how you can play with that. And especially when it comes to the psychos of Gotham and of course, the character of John Paul Valley and his whole thing with Saint Dumas and everything else. I was like, okay, once I started to read the inner dialogue and really seeing what these books were about, I was like, they're going to play a lot with his religion.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. I want to see how this goes. God damn. This was some good writing.
Yes. Yeah. I preferred the series instead of over the one shot, but they were both good. They're written by the same guy.
Yes.
But I read the series first before I read the one shot because of the way they're arranged in our folder. But there is an anime moment in the fucking series, which is really cool because, and granted, I know we have some people that don't like when we talk about anime on the podcast, but if this is, I think, the perfect blend of comic and anime style in one, in my opinion, because John Paul Valley, at one point, there's a girl that shows up on the shores of their church and she's being berated by a man. And John Paul Valley, obviously being hero, anti-hero type person, runs down there to save them. And he's all like, leave her alone. And the fisherman guy is like, no, she owes me money and blah, blah, blah. Like, get out of here, monk. And John Paul Valley just punches him in the face. And then he's like, oh, no, I can't do this because he doesn't want to release the angel that is Azrael. And so he starts getting berated with punches. And the way it's drawn is there's like the fury of 1,000 fists beating down on John Paul Valley while he's doing his inner monologue that is going between the Azrael angel wanting to come out and his saint like personality like intertwined.
So here's the thing that I didn't really get as far as the Azrael character, because I've never really followed him anywhere other than, I guess, these books.
Yeah.
I never knew, unless this is something new, that this was almost like two personas.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is new or not, because
he even talks about it in the book that he was brainwashed. And I think that's how you're supposed to read it.
And it sounds a lot more like how Winter Soldier is in Marvel. How he was brainwashed, and like with a series of hypnosis and code words, they can basically control him to do whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like this is. But because of the two pieces of dialogue, I was like, this is almost like some Two-Face kind of shit.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I really, really dug it.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I like that he has to, and this is kind of like reminded me of how anxiety is too. Because when he got bad thoughts, he remembered the way other saints died. Like, that was kind of fucking crazy. Like, he'd be like, oh, Saint so-and-so died of burning on a cross, and so-and-so died this way. And like, he was remembering how a bunch of saints have had to pay for their, like, had to pay for the like sins of others or whatever, you know what I mean? And John Paul Valley, we know, has his own sins to deal with. And so he's trying to repent. He's trying to be better. He doesn't want to be the Sword of Azrael, but he is, you know what I mean? And it was just fucking written so well. Like,
and this
good.
art is fucking fire.
Yeah.
There's a moment where Vengeance, Bane's daughter, comes in.
Yeah.
And was like, "Hey, I'm Vengeance." And Azrael's like, "I don't care." And that panel alone was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah,
like,
it was pretty awesome.
I really, really dug this. But like at the end of the day, like the big reveal in this book is that the girl that they saved and like basically put in sanctuary at this church is the actual like villain of the story, it seems like. And
she's supposed to restart the Templars. The Knights of Templar, which I always like that old kind of shit because I played the Assassin's Creed games, so hearing the Knights of Templar and all that shit is like really cool. Yeah. Granted, they don't really do that anymore with the new stuff, I don't think. But yeah, like we will continue reading this if it's going to be a week or bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. Because so far it's written very well. The drawings are really well. John Paul Valley in this particular book. Have you played the Metal Gear games?
No, I have not.
Okay, so he looks like, for anybody that has played the Metal Gear games, he looks like Otacon from Metal Gear. If you ever look into that, he's the nerdy guy that you talk to on the comms and stuff, but he looks like fucking Otacon in this, which I just kept thinking about it. And I was just like, oh, fuck, that's awesome. But yeah, I'm excited to read this, man. It's been a while since a random book came out of nowhere. And that just shows you, good writing can carry anything. You just got to take a chance on it. And I'm not going to lie, I did wait till the last minute to read these books. And I was like, maybe I could skip them and Clay will read them. And I was like, but let me give it the first few pages. And I read the first few pages and I was like, oh, okay, I like the dialogue. It's pretty cool. I like the concept. And then it kept going. And when I saw the anime, like Thousand Fists of Fury thing, I was like, that's kind of cool. I was like, all right, let me see what's going on. And I kind of did the same thing with the one shot. I think there was a little bit more dialogue in the one shot, or there was more pages or something like that. So I read 3/4 of it, and then I kind of just skimmed the last few pages because it was already like 2 a.m. when I was reading these. So I was just like, all right. But absolutely love this. I think this is Dan Waters. I forget his first name.
Yeah.
But solid shit. I don't know if I've read anything from Dan Waters. Have I read anything from Dan Waters?
I think maybe 1 or 2 things in the past.
Mhm.
He has been kind of quiet lately in writing. So this I thought was really, really good if he's coming back to like full-time stuff.
Yeah. This is phenomenal. I never thought I'd care about an Azrael book. Also, I like that there was kind of references to his past, He talked about, I think it was in the one shot, he talks about how he went from, being Azrael, then answering the call of Batman, then failing at answering that call of Batman, then repenting with whatever. Like they mentioned even being in space. Like they covered a lot of his fucking history. And I was like, damn, like, and they even took in some of the shit people don't want to remember, like Odyssey or whatever, like people don't really talk about that. Granted, I think was that the one people liked from Tynan? I don't remember.
No, it wasn't Tynan. It wasn't Tynan. It was what's his name? Who used to write Harley Quinn?
Huh. What was so I don't know if that one was good or not. I don't remember. But
that was the one where Jessica Cruz died and then came back.
Oh yeah. So was that good or not? I don't remember if people liked that or not. I know they didn't like that part. I don't know if the overall thing was bad.
It had a very weird history because Sajik was actually the one that was supposed to do the art on it, and then
he retired,
like after the first issue, like everything else was this new artist. So people were already like, nah, we don't really want this. The whole point was Sajik. He was the selling point of the book. It had a really slow start. And then like after Jessica Cruz died and came back, that's when it started getting good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We have so many books, and I know you got a hard out in the next 20 minutes or so. Vampires. Let's go into vampires real quick. Horniest issue yet.
Holy shit. I got this text.
Yeah.
And let me actually read the text real quick from you. Juice texted me, I think it was yesterday, Yeah, so no, it was actually on Tuesday as the
Yeah.
time we were recording this, and he says, is it possible that I wrote DC versus Vampires this week? Because that book is horny as fuck.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, what is he talking
Have
about?
you hadn't read it at that point?
I hadn't read it at that time. So I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so I read it last night, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was like they heard this podcast or watched my channel or something, and they're like, I got something for you, Juice. This is coming for you, my guy. Because in this book, we have freaking Black Canary hooking up with Ollie before he's gonna dip out and go save the blood farms, because that's what he's just saying that he has to go do it. Like his conscience is like, I can't let people suffer in that. And she doesn't want him to do it because she's like, we have a bigger plan to save the world. Like, we need to do that. So they're at odds. So she's like, you know what? Don't talk. Just spend the night with me. And they start getting it on. Then we see Barbara dreaming about freaking Dick Grayson hooking up with Starfire. And she's there to kill him. And then he's all like, you didn't really come here to kill me. And then they start kind of having some spicy drawings going on. I was like, oh, okay. And then at the end of the book, where freaking she's been told, like, you have to go, you need to end this. Like, you need to go kill Dick Grayson. She's like, all right, I need help. She goes to get Harley Quinn, who we know is being tortured and shit. And freaking, she breaks Harley Quinn out. Harley Quinn fucks up Dr. Hugo Strange. And she's all like, I need porn. Like, I need a good shower, unlimited food, and porn. Like, I'm just like,
their exact
what?
quote is, she's like, are you okay? And Harley says, no, not really, but nothing but a long bath, hot meal, and a big TV with all the porn a girl could ever want won't fix it.
I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't even know if I would write that dialogue. And like, I was just like, damn, but it worked here. It worked for somebody like Harley Quinn, right? You can get away with that with Harley Quinn. If somebody like, if that came out of like Batgirl's mouth, I'd be like, oh, that doesn't sit right. That doesn't seem right. Not saying that Batgirl can't be like that, but she doesn't seem that abrasive in her dialogue sometimes. And so it fit for Harley Quinn. And I was like, what was going on when they were writing this book? But overall, this is kind of another, like, they're trying to get to somewhere, right? I think they're trying to get Supergirl across an ocean or something like that. They're attacked. And then what's her name? This is what I was talking about earlier in the podcast. One of the Wonder Twins now has the ability to turn into water and turn into an animal or animals. And they're like, how the hell do you do that? And she's like, since my brother died, I got both powers now. And she's like, I'm not complaining. And she re-mentioned, she was like, a dead skull guy told me I need to save you or be by your side until we end this. And that's what I'm going to do. So she ends up saving Supergirl because Supergirl can't do anything right now. I'm curious about why can't they just grab Supergirl and fly through the atmosphere?
I think that there is going to be obstacles to that. I think people like Superman are probably scouring the entire atmosphere.
That's plausible. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, I only remember the horny bits of this book, but it was a good read. I remember that. There was like a lot of Robin talking about like this house. They were talking about the house. Oh, I love the way Constantine showed up for Barbara. So like after Barbara's having her sexy dream, she wakes up scared and Constantine is just like in her room, all burnt up and cut up. And he's like, hey, love. And she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And Constantine's like, I have no idea. I don't even know how I got here. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, magic. And she was like, I know you're just fucking lying. He's like, no, you know there's other people that with better magic than me, right? Like, come on.
Like, you dumb bitch. I did not do this to myself here.
I loved his dialogue. He was all like, they burned me so much it got burnt out of my memory. Like, bitch. Like, it's so good, dude. Like, I loved it. I loved the dialogue.
Do you think Damien's dead, though? Because Damien was with him.
Yeah,
so the whole point was they took Zaz. So Constantine took Damien and Zaz to the House of Secrets. And there was a big joke about secrets and mystery because there's also a House of Mystery.
Yeah.
And so there's all that dialogue. I actually chuckled at it. But then you see all of the magic people doing this seance with this vampire, and Zaz is like, "Oh, you're gonna try to fucking kill us now?" And like, no, we're trying to cure him. And as soon as Constantine says that, the vampire just fucking explodes. All this blood goes on everybody, and Zaz is like, "You fucking asshole." He's like, "Oh, well, guys, I hope you have better luck with the next guy. Zaz, go on, like, go get tested on."
It was good.
The whole thing is that they answer the door, and like all of these vampires have found them. And next thing you know, Constantine is in Barbara's room, completely burnt up and without a memory. So this is getting kind of intense. This was issue 8. We have 4 more issues left. We have 4 issues of this, but we have 5 more issues of the spinoff with Deathstroke and Azrael. So we'll see.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to have to pile through about a couple of these books. Nero Year, loved it. Thoughts?
Yes.
Great.
I really dug it, but it really confused me when he was using Batman's cowl and not Batman Beyond's cowl.
Yeah, but they revealed that he got a new suit, so I'm assuming they were just making that suit better.
Yeah.
So I kind of get that. Nero Year, fantastic. Wish we could cover it more. We're going to continue covering it. It's a great fucking story. If you've enjoyed the first issues, you should enjoy this next one. I like that it stayed pretty much in the cave. Like the whole issue was in the cave, because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, we have to travel everywhere to make it interesting. It needs to be like a Mr. Beast video. It's like, no, bro, you can chill and make a good story out of something sometimes. So I really like that it was kind of a solemn story. So that was pretty cool. Because I actually want to talk about Killing Time now, because since you kind of don't like it. But what did you think about Dark Crisis? Drawn beautifully. I did like Dark Crisis. The only thing that I really don't like is, because I knew this was going to happen at the very start, is this whole Black Adam story. Like, fuck you guys. You guys aren't evil enough. I'm going to the bad guys because we need to kill everybody. It's just like, I saw this a mile away. Yeah. So it was drawn great. I love them going into Jon Stewart world, or whatever the hell it is now. It's I was actually skimming this book because I was like, I don't want to read it. I don't care. And it looks so good. I was like, fuck, I got to read this. And because I had skimmed all the way to the ending, and I was like, oh my God, fucking Doom now. I was like, I got to read this. I was like, and I read it, and I enjoyed it. And I like that Yar and fucking Robin showed up. Which is going to be interesting that it is not Dick Grayson that's probably going to be part of the Trinity, but Damian.
So how do you feel about Damian basically saying, like, everybody's fucking dead, deal with it? Like, I'm tired of like all this hope talk. Like,
he's his father's son. He's the realist. He would tell John, like, the most important thing, you ever did, or the most inspiration you ever were, is like when you died, or whatever that line is. That's a classic Batman line to Superman, honestly, Damian should be John's Batman. Like, that's just how it should be. Because they didn't grow up together anymore, but they were for a little bit until Bendis showed up. But you know what I mean? And I think it's better for Grayson just to be able to do his own thing. But yeah, I wouldn't mind Damian being part of that with Yar. Although it's just weird that he is the youngest out of them. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. But anyways, let's just dive into Killing Time in case we don't have time to do Flashpoint. Tell me what you didn't like.
I don't get the fucking I don't get it. Like, there is no resolution to this whatsoever.
To the item?
Yeah.
The item is exactly what I told you it was going to be. It's like the Bible. Everybody put the power onto that eye. Everybody says that is what would make something so strong. I said this to somebody who also wasn't they didn't understand what was going on. They were like, yeah, I just don't like that the eye didn't get told. I was like, no. I was like, the eye's power was there. I was like, look at it, because that's why Tom King included the stories from so long ago, right? What has happened over time, depending on how your religious beliefs are. If you don't believe in religion, a lot of people say the Bible was created so long ago, and the stories have been passed over time of this man that is Jesus Christ. And it's been so powerful of a story that people believe a man walked on water, turned water into wine, all of that kind of stuff. They believe it in their soul. So what happens if somebody said there was a weapon that was that powerful. If you could just own the world if you had this eyeball. But I told you, when you say something like that, like this world controlling device, you cannot give that power out. But if Tom King were to never say what it actually did, and we had to leave it up to our imagination, then it's endless. I think it's fucking brilliant. I just thought it was fantastic. And I mentioned that in like the second issue, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, I may be losing some context because I was like, I'm not reading this whole like 4 hours before, 3 hours later, 2 hours, like I skipped all the inner dialogue.
You probably missed a lot of context then.
I just read all of the fucking like spoken dialogue, and I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm done with this book. Thank God it's the end, because I have not been a fan of this story.
No, so like then that's the thing that we need to make clear about Clay, in case you're curious about him. Clay doesn't like stories that don't go from point A to point B. He's not a fan of stuff that's not linear.
Yeah.
I love that shit. I love Memento. I love kind of shit like that. I love people that fuck with time and kind of do stuff. But you can't do what Clay just did and skip and only read certain shit for these kind of stories. You can't do that. But for the most part, I thought this was fucking brilliant. I love the violence in this book. Like, there was violence. Now, I did tell Clay there were two things I didn't like in this book, in this final issue. I wish Tom King would have just killed the agent. I don't like that she's alive. You can always create characters and kill them. We've never seen her before, unless she has been somebody before, and this is the first time I'm just hearing about her. But I've never seen her before. You could have killed her. Like, Riddler killing somebody is totally fine. Tom King's about to make a One Bad Day book about Riddler. He kills people. He's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been fine with him killing this agent. I don't like that she survived because she wasn't a big character, in my opinion. The second thing is, I don't like when Ra's al Ghul cussed. And that's just a stupid nitpick. But at the very end, he was like, "You're fucking crazy," or something like that.
I didn't like the whole, like, I don't know why it bothers me so much in this book, and it did bother me a little bit in Batcat. Like, when, like, Tom King's version of Catwoman being detained or anything is meow 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 meow.
And I've said my piece on that. I don't know if you remember that. But, like, I think she's playing a character. I read it as her playing a character because I think what a lot of people forget about the Batman universe is there's two jails. There is Blackgate, which is for the hardcore criminals, and then there's Arkham Asylum for the criminally insane. And I think Catwoman plays the criminally insane part. And that's why she does the meow, 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 meow. I've actually told that to people, and they're like, oh, fuck, I've never looked at it from that perspective. And it's just a perspective thing. Like, if you want to read it for what it is, totally fine. But I think perspective-wise, I would assume it's probably easier for her to get out of a criminally insane place than it is to get out of a fucking prison. You know what I mean? So if she's just got to act stupid, because if you look at it, she doesn't do that in any other place. Like, she is sane as fuck when it comes to that. And I think she's just playing up a thing because she never acts crazy. And if you were to compare her to every other Batman villain, she doesn't do crazy shit like that. She doesn't blow up like buildings to kill a bunch of people for fun and shit, you know? So like she is a criminal. So she belongs in Blackgate. But I think she plays up the I'm crazy, meow, 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 meow kind of bullshit to stay in Arkham. That's how I like to read it. But again, that could be headcanon, and I totally admit that. But I think it's a perspective you can read it from. But I love this story because of Clock King. To show a whole book that had Clock King plan out everything, because that is his villainous power. He's just like the perfect like master manipulator when it comes to time and shit and planning things out. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And that is the way you can bring in D-list Batman characters and make them seem badass. Because there is that one moment in this book where Tom King had, or I should say Marquez, had fucking Clock King talking about how he killed 4 snipers. And that panel where he's blowing the brains out of one of the snipers looks fucking fantastic. And I was like, damn, that was awesome. But yeah, I love that he even knew when he was going to get caught. And Tom King made a quote about it. And he was like, so now that the book's over, we can talk about like the 100 different meanings that killing time matters. And when you actually read the story and you think about the title Killing Time, there's so many different reasons on why that title makes so much sense. Deals with Clock King. There's a fucking shitload of killing in this book. There's a lot of waiting for a lot of characters, so they're killing time. Like, there's a lot of different nuances to that title, and I'm like, fucking phenomenal. Love the actual in-depth. It's not fucking Zdarsky over here doing bolt my soldiers. Like, fucking, boy, get the fuck out of here, Zdarsky. Anyways, do you got to go, or do we have time to talk about Flashpoint?
No, we will do Flashpoint on next week.
Okay, cool.
Because I do have to go. But as far as what I'm doing this week, we did emergency episodes for DC Alliance for all the Batgirl stuff. So I have 2 episodes out this week. Go check it out. I'm trying to think of if there's anything on this investors call that's going to happen in the next 2 hours. Then we will talk about that on Monday. Of course, we will talk about it here on Batman News Weekly, of course. But yeah, that's really all that I'm looking forward to in the sense of how everything at DC is going to be taken care of.
Yeah, cool. I'm in the process of changing up my content. So just subscribe to my shorts channel, my reaction channel. I've been posting content over there. Also subscribe to the Batman News Weekly channel to keep us above 100 subscribers. We keep getting to 99, then 100, then somebody unsubscribes. And so I think somebody's just playing a cruel joke on us.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah. But anyways, go subscribe to that channel if you guys are not out. It helps out the channel. But that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome.